So I was browsing through Steam looking at different games that were on sale, and I came across No Man's Sky, and oh my god, it was 60% off. So you already know I threw my money at that from the drop of a dime, and here I am, finding myself talking with a sentient, pulsating red ball that knows literally all the secrets of the universe, and yet still, even so, has some kind of domination kink, or more specifically, an insatiable need to be worshipped. Either way, I was kind of thrown into this universe with almost zero real understanding of how it actually worked, while expecting at least a generally good experience. And after squabbling around on a few planets and finally getting my ship working, I started to get the hang of at least a handful of different functions in the game. For a while now, I kind of assumed that the game was inherently working the same as a 4-player co-op, where someone hosts the world game. But having played a bit, from what I can tell, the functions seem to be effectively semi-multiplayer / semi-MMO. The game itself can be played with a huge variety of different modes, although even in one case I was able to join my buddy's game, but I was also able to continue right where I left off, even without him hosting in any way. And to an extent, it seems at the very least you can maintain certain aspects of the existing universe, that be it your base, ship, and inventory, even if the friend you joined initially is gone and isn't hosting at all. Additionally, as I came to discover, there's an online hub function called the Anomaly, which effectively is the same as a giant Death Star spaceship that you can summon at will, that both lives and exists here and nowhere at the same time. The station allows you to take on missions with other friends, as well as join random players in teaming up to perform these given missions, as well as perform trades with different NPCs in the hub to upgrade, trade, sell both your items, ship, exosuit, or mining tools and weaponry. And while exploration is an important part of the game, another important component is the building. There's a large array of different ship types, building options, refinery, storage, and research equipment that I had to utilize as well. And even though my own personal ability in making a beautiful home went about as far as making a glorified wooden box with a door and digging a giant hole out of the side of a hill that I used to hold all of my stuff, there's a ton of different options out there when it comes to not only building your home for yourself, but an actual working compound that lets you even take care of livestock, milk and feed animals, and a lot more stuff that I haven't even gotten to yet, even though I know most of you are here for the milking part. Anyway, one of the things about No Man's Sky I found really interesting was how they introduce you to the game. Even though there's literally boundless scopes of content surrounding the game, the introduction is quite slow. Not slow as in boring, but in the sense that you truly have no idea what's really going on from a story standpoint. You wake up not knowing at all what happened, clearly missing much of your memories, and as you go on, you slowly begin to discover the larger parts about who you once were, while also learning more about the ancient civilizations, relics, and different alien races. And one of my favorite parts I think I liked about No Man's Sky was how integrated the world felt. Being able to fly into a new planet seamlessly from space is one of the most satisfying parts about zooming around on your ship. The immersion going in and out of each planet, as well as using the hyperspace to get to and from different monuments, locations, is extremely visually satisfying, but also just such a cool thing to do in the first place. I think from this sense, the comparison to Starfield makes it seem like such a better purchase than I would have otherwise considered before, at least from what I've heard and from my buddy's experience playing through that game. The functions of landing on planets in Starfield are effectively hot zones that you can land in, where a bubble is kind of generated surrounding the player that to an extent limits how far off you can choose to explore, rather than No Man's Sky, which lets you just go anywhere. You see a funky rock somewhere, you can go to it. If you see some weird asteroid far off near the edge of a planet's atmosphere, you can go to it. If you see some frigate fleet jumping out of hyperspace in front of your flight path, you can fly up to it if you so choose and start trying to assert your dominance. Which, speaking of, is a really funny thing I started doing. One thing I kind of abused about this game is the safe areas / space stations around every star system you go to. There usually is a close by station to visit. These stations, again, contain just about everything you need within reason, and each one has its own economy, components, materials, items you can buy and sell. And now, the function I found myself using such a lovely time abusing is the fact that of these, every time you land back in a space station, your ship's shield gets completely recharged. Why does this matter, you ask? Well, thanks for asking, because in No Man's Sky, often you will encounter large fleets jumping out of hyperspace. These fleets often will have outside storage caches that contain highly valuable minerals and components, as I came to discover, And in that discovery, I realized they kind of will just let you fly all the way up to these caches that are just sitting there next to their ships, blow them up, and take them. The only downside is that immediately after, they start trying to murder you. Surprise, surprise. Now, normally, if you were me, using such a terrible and weak ship, which is literally the first one you get in the game, to fight off an entire fleet is hard, especially when you aren't able to recharge your shield, and inevitably lose all your shield and all of your ship's items get lost as you die. But with this silly little tactic known as blow up as much crap as you can, then dip back to the nearby space station and instantly heal to full health, then fly back out and start blowing up more crap, you can technically win any fight. And while yes, I was very sad to have lost almost all of my items I had stored up over time, that really did suck. Once I slowly but surely took down each freighter and fighter in a fleet and blew up all their resource caches and took their highly valuable components that were worth upwards of $300,000, my sorrows were quickly dismissed, especially when the most expensive things I ever sold even once in the game was like $15,000 worth of meat I got from killing some dinosaur-like animals on a random planet. It was hard to feel sad I lost all my stuff when I was now a literal millionaire. And to top it off, I also received some S-Class hyperdrive and frigate components as well by doing this, which was added to the oh-so amazing feeling of basically leeching off of a safe zone to get hella rich. Another cool thing I found while playing this is that it seems like you are highly incentivized to explore more of each planet as you go. In the game, there are little alien-like knowledge banks that teach you the meaning of different words of aliens that you communicate with on space stations. And over time, as you start to learn and practice communicating with these different species, you get to begin to fill in the gaps of what they are saying slowly but surely, and you can make more and more sense over time of what they're actually talking about. Which, back to the whole leeching thing I did, there are also relationships it seems you have to consider when pirating these different fleets. I guess after having killed off an entire alien group's fighting force, for some reason they don't like that. So my relationship with that civilization has gone down significantly since becoming a space pirate. Which yes, makes sense, but on the other hand, I said it was a prank, so it's probably fine. One of the interesting things I also came across was highly complex weather systems. At least on this frozen planet I found, there was a severe winter storm going on, which when I immediately landed was immediately hostile, and as hovering robot entities started to immediately swarm me while I explored, and even while I tried to damage a single one, I couldn't even leave a dent on them, whereas just a few of their shots dang near took my life. All while at the same time I was quickly freezing to death. But as I went on in these highly deadly conditions, I found these frozen ice crystals that at first I was like, oh, cool, pretty ice. But as I left the planet and went to try to sell these things, I only got 2, mind you, I got to see how much they were actually worth. And yeah, valuable is an understatement, that's for sure. At least from what I could tell, I was on a planet that I was significantly under-leveled to fight, but at the same time, the beauty of the game is that you can still go. You aren't blocked off to any specific area based on your ability, at least in terms of, you know, traveling star system to star system. You might need a higher level hyperdrive to get to and fro longer distances in one go, but you can still go planet to planet to planet with, you know, pretty much the starting hyperdrive from what I can tell at least. And if you want to go to a place that gives you less than a 5% chance of surviving, you can do that. The game just lets you decide if that place you went to is too much to handle. And in my case, being in a place where literally anything can kill me by just glancing in my general direction, I get the fun of figuring out how to handle and deal with these situations, while also knowing that if I succeed at playing my cards right, I can get highly valuable rewards that help fast track my progress. And while I'm well aware of the many issues No Man's Sky had at the start of its release, being now able to play the game and truly experience what it is capable of doing is something I definitely do not regret. Especially when I know that there is still so much of the game I haven't yet seen, including the relics, monuments, stories, upgrades I still have yet to come across, etc, etc. And if you like seeing stuff like this, and more playthrough-esque type stuff for No Man's Sky, feel free to let me know. But regardless, I hope you have enjoyed, and like always, have a beautiful rest of your day, boys. Peace.